Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I am so happy you can be with us today. Oh, my wonderful friends. Each of us is born on earth in order to learn just two great spiritual lessons, and those two lessons encompass, frankly, all the other lessons you can imagine. First, we're born to learn how to love ever more perfectly in all the various ways that we can love. And second, we're born to learn to forgive completely. No matter whatever might be done to us, no matter how awful, how horrible it is, our task is to learn to forgive it no matter what. My beloved friends, learning to perfectly love and forgive is what life is all about. That's why all these horrible things keep happening. And it was not until just a few years ago that I was able to find a real forgiveness expert, someone who taught forgiveness so well that I thought we could make her our Seek Reality guru of forgiveness. I was so thrilled, and I still am. She is our guest again today, and she's with us for the 10th time. Actually, until we found Deborah Reiss, what she taught and what she was able to talk about, all we could do was talk about A Course in Miracles, and that's where Jesus channeled in the 1960s basically a PhD about forgiveness, and the miracle that he taught there in A Course in Miracles in that thick thick blue book full of tiny print. That's all that he was. It took all those words just to teach us how to forgive. That was the miracle. That was the whole miracle, forgiveness. Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles that forgiveness miracles all come in just one size. No matter what happens in our lives, we always must and we can forgive it, whatever happens. And our guest, Brenda, she teaches it. She's an expert on it. And frankly, she makes it seem easy, practical, and powerful. She tells us that self-forgiveness helped her to transition out of victimhood and into the life that she herself was meant to live, and she makes it feel possible. Brenda has experienced life's obstacles firsthand in the form of toxic relationships, eating disorders, which I can't believe, frankly, because if you look at her, she's gorgeous. She's never had an eating disorder. I can't believe it. But anyway, she tells us she once had anxiety. She had all kinds of problems, and those problems can actually consume our lives. But she learned how to forgive, and then she developed a very successful forgiveness coaching practice. She's written a good, terrific little book, and it's called Forgive. I think it's got two letters, two words, but she'll tell us. It's brief, it's easy to understand. I loved reading it, and I think everyone should read her book. So, my dear friends, I'm going to give you just two key points now to explain why I think what she teaches really is so important. First, to be frank, never forget that the people who wrong us, especially if they wrong us horribly, they don't care a fig whether we ever forgive them. They don't care. Forgiveness of others is a gift we give to ourselves. And forgiveness is the greatest gift we ever can give to ourselves, no matter how hard it may be, because forgiveness of others is freedom. And second, many people don't even realize that the core problems at the center of their lives, no matter what they think their problems are about, have to do with things for which they blame themselves, really. So self-forgiveness may, in your case, be something that you have to learn in order to free yourself. For many people, it's a whole lot easier to forgive others than it is to forgive themselves, really. But we have a lot to talk with Brenda today about. My dear friend Brenda, I'm so glad to see you again. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Roberta. It's so good. It always just, oh, get so excited when I get to talk with you.
Aren't you nice to say that? Well, let's dig in, my dear. Now you had a problem. You had an illness and now you're just getting better?
So, yes, so I had a hamstring surgery. So, this is part of my journey of self-forgiveness. I get a lot of lessons through my body. So this is probably my fourth major surgery. I had a back fusion, a neck fusion, a brain tumor, and now the hamstrings. Now, I I know,
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
along with some smaller minor ones, surgeries. So it's like,
Goodness.
I know. And and the interesting thing is being able to, because for a while there, I thought something was wrong with my body, right?
Well, it
My
sounds
body,
like things were wrong with your body
right.
there,
But I
kiddo.
mean, I was kind of blaming my body.
Yeah.
It,
Okay, I can
and it,
see that.
right. Okay, so this is kind of forgiving others and self-forgiveness because when I was able to finally understand it was my neglect and my not listening that got me to where my body finally said, "Look, I'm done, chick. Come on." You know, it's like we got to slow her down to get that's what I learned. It's kind of like, okay, we're done. And so the interesting thing is I tore hamstrings. Like my hamstring tendons were totally off the bone,
Oh my.
right? On one
Yeah.
side. And it's like, but I wasn't in major pain. I was having nerve pain, but not major pain. But I just couldn't, my legs were getting weaker. I couldn't walk. Now, I have been feeling this for the last 5, 6 years while I was doing caregiving, right? With my husband who was diagnosed
Yes.
with dementia. And we've gone through this stuff. And
Yeah.
I really ignored myself. And I think this is an important message I've been talking with people about. And I have just kind of I put away those little, those little messages, the little tap on the shoulder. Finally, I got like the 2x4 is how I term it. It's kind of like she's
Two
not
by four, it's hard to ignore. So what, across the head? Oh,
well
oh
across the
dear.
hamstring, right? Across the hamstring. So
Across the hamstring.
finally, and it was an interesting thing because I knew something was wrong, but when I went for a couple consults, the first surgeon's like, "No, hamstring surgery is brutal. It's too hard. We only do that if it's an emergency, like if you're a football player." Well, I'm not a football player, right? So I'm like, okay. And I'm not a marathon runner. Those usually they get a lot of injuries. And so he goes, "No, no." So I heard what I wanted to hear. Now this is important, right? I heard what I wanted to hear. So this goes with toxic relationships, it goes with jobs, it goes with all sorts of things.
Yeah.
We want to hear a certain thing and we don't even know we want to hear it, but I heard no surgery. So I thought, "Yay." But the pain started to get worse. And finally, I went to this, it's called a physiatrist. So it's kind of like the doctor of physical therapy. And she's like, "This is bad." She goes, "Brenda, this is bad. You need to talk to somebody who does hamstrings." So that's what I did. And he said the words surgery.
The bad word.
Yes.
Oh
And
dear.
Roberta, you know what happened? I went into shock. I went into trauma. I didn't realize I was holding, as we know, my body was holding I call them dust bunnies, but there's certain things in our body, yeah, that we hold little trauma. Now we can be working on stuff, right? Our little traumas and big traumas and all the things that are emotional blockages, right? We can use those terms. I didn't realize I still had trauma from the back surgery I had back in 2012 because
Oh
yeah,
my.
because I received nerve damage from my sciatic nerve in my right leg. And I struggled for 4 years with, I mean, excruciating pain. And and then my leg has been weak since then. And so when he said that, my body started shake. I mean, I went into total like a trauma response.
Oh my dear. I'm so
Well,
sorry.
and the good thing about this is, so
The
this is
good
the
thing
way,
about
the
this
good
is
thing about this.
there is
So
a good thing.
yes, because I look at some people don't like this term, but like, where's the gift in all these things? We go through these experiences,
Oh,
situations, right?
let's
What?
pause at this amazing, precious moment. You're going through all this garbage
Mhm.
in your life, all these things, and it's all wrapped up in your body. And you pause and you say, where is the gift in this? That is a beautiful, precious thing. And that's everyone listening. That's what each of us needs to do in the midst of a horrible experience. Where is the gift in this?
Mhm.
Remembering that we live in this beautiful conscious universe amid beautiful beings who love us and are helping us by giving us sometimes very unpleasant gifts to receive, but they are gifts nonetheless.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, and I realized through this whole process that, oh my gosh, I've kind of had that thought process throughout my life, even going through hard stuff, like going
Yes,
through, the things that you
yes,
mentioned,
yes,
plus, especially going through sobriety, right? Drinking and doing this. I'm 23 years sober and going through all these things. I was like, once I could get through, now I had to go through, I had to let the trauma, I had the experience go through my body because that's the only way through,
yes.
right? The only way out is through. And so I had to get that. And then I was thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had been working on the traumas. I've been working on, I do a lot of inner work, right? So I've been working on these things. I didn't know that there was that piece in there until this happened. And I needed to have that come out so then I could make a clear decision on how to take care of my body moving forward.
Yes,
Right. So
yes.
if they cringe just now at the where's the gift, because a lot of people do, it's like, what can I learn from this? What have I learned from this? And what can I do moving forward? Just a micro step, just a micro step. Be willing to go, this was tragic and hard, but how did it change my life?
I am living in a benevolent universe headed by a loving God and surrounded by beings who adore me. So, where is the gift they are trying to give me? Yes,
Well, it
yes,
goes back, well, it
that's
goes back to
true.
what you said in the beginning. We have two things we're learning here, right? How to love
Mhm.
more perfectly
And how to forgive more completely, those
and
two
how to,
things.
right, and how to forgive more completely. And to be able to love myself, I have to forgive myself for some things,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. Oh,
And
yes,
and so this is really valuable because I get to love myself so that I can love others too, because
yes,
sometimes we think it's the opposite and it seems like it.
yes.
But I'm holding myself back. And that's what I realized through all of my life's journey and experiences, which led me to teaching forgiveness, which I didn't realize that was going to be the path, right?
Yes.
But as you know, hindsight is 2020. When I
Uh-huh.
looked back and I went, oh my gosh, look at all these teachers I've had in my life, which were leading me more and more to where I got to today, which is having more of an open heart, which is it being able to now, I still have my moments. I'm human, right? Where I'm like, what the heck is going on? I still have those. Yet with this process of, wait a second, wait a second. I believe nothing happens in God's universe by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing does. I truly believe that. And I know for some people it's harder, but I think your audience is probably along this line. But I remind myself of that while also allowing the humanness part of me, allowing myself to process what's coming through, because that's where the magic is. That's
Yes,
where the golden nuggets
yes,
are, right?
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, truly.
Yeah, because that's where when I went into that trauma, what happened to me was when I came out and the surgeon's like, okay, I have an opening next week. I'm like, what? No,
Yeah,
what? I gotta go. That's
yeah, yeah.
I gotta go. And I sat in my car and I was shaking so hard and the tears were just rolling, those kind of tears that just come,
Oh,
without
yeah.
even, it was just like my body was and I was it's like I realized part of me is going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And the other part's going, just breathe, Brenda. Just breathe.
Yep.
Just breathe. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. And as I was doing this, all of a sudden, it was so cool. Some people don't think this is cool, but I love when these things happen. I felt so alone, so deeply alone.
Mm-hmm.
And like nobody was there for me. I was like a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
and I was just crying. And it said, there it is. That's what I said. This other part of me that's like, breathe, Brenda. She's like, there it is. That's what needed to come out. That was a really deep belief that I've carried for all of my life, right? Even though I know like God was there and I talked to Jesus and I do my talking and I do my stuff, there was still these, again, another, it was bigger than a dust bunny, though. It was a really big dust bunny
Yeah.
that was hidden somewhere in my
Uh-huh.
psyche and my body that I was alone. And so
Yep.
I got to work with that. I got to acknowledge it, and it wouldn't have come out any other way than that. So that's where I'm like, okay, here is the gift in this is like I felt so alone. And I know so many of us do, even though we do have beliefs in something greater than ourselves or God or
Yes.
the universe, whatever, we can
Right.
still feel alone. And that's what was powerful. I went, wow. I mean, it was gut wrenching, like,
Yes. Many
awful.
people do feel very alone. I know.
Yeah. And I didn't know that was there for me. I didn't realize that because I have friends and I have, a life that I really like and even though there's hard things like with the dementia and with the, different stuff, I I was like, wow, this is a guttural, like I'm alone in the universe, alone. And then just taking the breath and just acknowledging that and just loving on myself at that moment and just going, it's okay, Brenda, we're going to be okay. And just really kind of picturing my younger self who felt alone. And a lot of people who grew up in traumatic households, we do. We've had to learn things that are hard and we've have felt alone and we have felt like we
Mhm.
had to do things that we weren't ready to do. And it was like, it was so cool because it was like healing all the way back.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So, where's the gift for people? Where is this little, these dust bunnies? What is that for you? What is it that's hiding in there that could use? Because love and forgiveness are just, they're married, right? And if we got to do one so we could do the other. So I got to love on that and I got to be that little girl who said, you know what? I'm willing to forgive my mom. I'm willing to forgive my dad. I'm willing to forgive,
Yes.
God. That was the other thing. I'm willing to forgive these deep, deep feelings that were coming up because honestly, I was never alone. Never alone, even though it felt like it, even though it was hard. I
Hmm.
was never alone.
Well, that's the deeper understanding
Hmm.
that you achieved. No
Well,
one
it
is ever
was.
alone. No one is ever alone.
No. No,
Isn't
and it didn't come right away, right? But the story did, the feeling did. And I
Yeah.
still had to work with it throughout the day, right? So
Hmm.
because that like I'm like going, I'm not doing surgery because I was so panicked that something was going to happen to my sciatic nerve. Again, I was panicked. And it took a couple days and it was so cool because working through that and just sitting with it and praying about it and just asking for guidance and what do I do? Because that's where I go. It was all of a sudden a calmness came over me. It was like, okay, I can do the surgery now. So I called him up and I booked the surgery. And I'm going to tell you, going into the surgery, I didn't feel nervous at all until like the day of. Then I got nervous,
Yeah.
but I did some visualizations, I did some hypnotherapy, for pre-op, and I took care of my body and my mind. For the first time in my life, I was conscious and aware going into how do I support myself, my heart, my body? How do I do all of that?
Hmm.
And even, and I didn't have as much pain, even though, and a week later, when I checked with the surgeon, he's like, well, how's your pain? He's kind of squinching his face. And I go, it actually hasn't been bad at all. And he's like, what? He was surprised. And I just went, my body is miraculous.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And so, I know a lot of people go, well, that's for her. But it's not. I've talked to so many people since then that when we are conscious and aware and make these choices and decisions based on us, based on love, right? It changes everything.
It does. Yes. No, I know. I mean, I have some
Yeah.
close friends, close in age to me, who with whom I speak frequently, and it amazes me the difference that attitude makes. I mean, I I I sometimes think I have to talk to them in doses because talking to them is
Yeah.
like Debbie Downer. You wouldn't believe. Everybody's pain is like
Mm.
the end of the world. And then then I stop and think and I say, oh yeah, on the scale, probably I have a 9 out of 10 in terms of bodily pain today. Oh well, and then I go about my day. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
don't care because on a scale of 20, on a scale of 10, I have joy today. And that joy is so much greater than any
Mm.
possible pain could be. And so I'm like tripping through a garden of tulips the size of mountains. That's my life. My whole life is glorious. I mean, but then I realize I do have some pain, but it's nothing compared to all this joy. And that's how I live my life. How can people worry about pain? It's so trivial. That's how I feel all the time.
Mm.
I mean,
That's
that's
amazing. That is amazing. But it's also a choice too. What I'm
oh,
hearing
it's a
you
choice I
say,
made a long time ago.
yes. Well, is like you're using it's like I talk about in my podcast. I talk about holding two truths at the same time,
Yes.
right? And that's what you're doing. I have pain and I also have joy. Some people they don't feel like they can do both. And we can. We can feel pain and we can feel love. We can feel grief and we can feel like we're happy or joy. We can be grateful. We can do grief and gratitude. We can. And if we
Yes.
allow our
Yes.
if we
Yes.
allow ourselves to do it, and it takes some effort for some people. Some people it's a little easier. Neuroscience is showing that some people are wired to be a little bit more pessimistic and some are more optimistic. But it doesn't mean that we can't learn.
I
That's
suppose that's true.
right, because that's what they say with the brain being plastic. We can learn these things, and I've witnessed it. I've witnessed people shift their perception, and that we've talked about this before. And that's what I
Yes.
love about this forgiveness that I teach is it's all about shifting our perception, which changes our stories.
Yeah, I suppose. I think part of it too is once you really perfectly get that our lives truly are eternal. This is just a minute out of your life, which is eternal.
Yeah.
Eternal. You can't die. It's impossible for you to die. I mean,
Mhm.
I've had to tell people that, people who felt suicidal, I just can't take this life anymore. I'm just gonna, go ahead and kill yourself, but you're gonna find out it didn't solve a blessed thing. You just lost your body, which is the only tool you had to fix your problems. You don't have that anymore. And you just get to look how miserable you made your loved ones feel, but you can't fix that either because you don't have your body. You're stuck now. But you're no less alive than you ever were because you can't kill your mind. It's eternal. And when you tell people that with a smile, guess what they lose the desire to do? They don't want to kill themselves anymore because it doesn't solve a blessed thing. But your mind really is eternal. Who'd have thunk it? But it's true. And when you know it's true for certain, Wow, does that make you happy? There's no, there's no end. Oh, Brenda, I think that's why I'm so happy, but wow, I am happy all the time. I never have a bad day.
Mm, that is so good.
I was talking to a cousin of mine this morning. She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm such a downer. I'm having a bad day." I said, "What? I can't imagine that. Tell me what it's like to have a bad day. I can't even imagine it." And,
Oh,
and,
that's
and
so
my
good.
husband is a depressive. It bums him out. I don't know why he married me. He should have, he never should have married me because it's really depressing. It's really a funny marriage, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because whatever I have to talk about is always so happy, and it it bums him out even more. It's so disgusting, really.
Oh my
I
God.
go, I go in there and I'm full of all this joy, and he's reading the paper or something, and I'm talking about this. He said, "Don't talk about that now. I'm kind of in a bad mood." Oh, my darling, I'm so sorry, and I give him a big hug and kiss, and then I sort of float out on a sea of butterflies. Just imagine what his life must be like. It must be a living hell because he's a Catholic. He can't get rid of me.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
It really is. We've been married for 54 years. He's
Oh,
stuck with me.
he is.
It's like a living hell for him.
Yeah, but he stayed. He stayed.
Yeah, he does. He really loves me very much. And actually, I think I'm the only reason he's really kind of happy underneath all the misery he gives
Well,
himself by being
I think you
depressive.
do. You bring joy to him where he wouldn't normally have it, you know?
Exactly, exactly right. Oh, oh, everything I do, everything I see, everything I find, everything in the tiniest thing makes me so happy. I'm sorry I'm doing this to you, but I just thought you seemed a little bit down compared to your norm. Because, you've just got over major surgery and you've been going through all of this. So I'm just trying to make you happy. I'm sorry. That's what I do. Why don't you
No,
talk? You're the
yeah.
one who's having the interview, and I'm kind of
No,
trying to cheer you
no, I
up.
love it. No, this is to me as a conversation. We always have a conversation, and
We do.
I always learn something from you, always. And you know what you do? You help remind people of who they are. You help remind us down to the core, right? Like that, where you said you're eternal. Well, right
You're
there was like,
eternal.
oh, it was a click. It was like, that's right. I was having this conversation with somebody. I said, she's like, oh my God, I teach this stuff. What's wrong with me? Right. Because it was a situation. And I said, because some of us need reminding
Yeah.
that it's going to be okay, that, like you were saying, that we are eternal. And really, we're just learning stuff. We're in these human bodies to learn. Right. And we're here to learn. And so, I said, as long as you don't stay stuck in it, you can notice it and you can move through it. That's what we're made for.
But it's like everything you look at is so beautiful.
Mm.
Even the ordinary things, when you look at them, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
The people you see, everybody you see is bathed in light because God loves them so much. I mean, that's the thing I've lately been discovering. Really, each of us is just as unique as a snowflake, more unique. Each of us is God's attempt to make ever more perfect, a more perfect person. Each person
Mm.
is that. And so when you look at people and you realize that, you see them with God's eyes, and you just
Mm.
can't imagine anything more perfect than that person. And when you are looking at people like that, you go, "Oh, this is just." I mean, and each person I interview, they can't see themselves that way, maybe, but I can,
Yeah.
and it's just so glorious. I've been doing this now for almost 14 years, and all those, hundreds of people I've interviewed have all been so beautiful. But you, I especially was looking forward to because you're especially beautiful. I just love seeing you,
Thank
dear.
you. Thank you. Well, don't you think that is also a process? Have you always been like that? Like since you were young, looking at life like this and knowing that there's a that like when you see other people, you see their soul, you see God, you see the parts of them. Have you ever?
I've always been somewhat like this. I was telling my husband just a couple days ago because it occurred to me to remember him. When I was in college, I went to one of the Seven Sisters schools, so they would bus in people from the Ivy League schools. And there was this one particular guy who came in on one of those buses, and he always would seek me out at mixers just so he could say, "Oh, there she is." And I can't remember the whole thing what he would say to me, but it was something like this. There she is, the happiest possible person who lives in the best of all possible worlds. And then he would be miserable. He would go, he was like a depressive guy and he couldn't
Yeah.
stand that I was so happy. It made
Right.
him miserable. I don't know why, but I was like this even then. I was like a little butterfly. I flitted around and tried to make other people happy always. I've always been like that.
Well,
Yep.
I think that's your mission is to help awaken in each of us that. I think that's important, right? I think that's been your mission in life. Is to
I
help
guess.
other people see that within themselves. And you know, it's so funny that even though, people don't like it, because I was like that when I had my corporate job. And every morning it was like, good morning, and there, oh, there she is. There's
Yeah,
Miss
right. That's
Sunshine.
right. That's how people treat people like us. They don't
Yes.
like that.
And then when you don't do that, then they don't like it either. Right? They're like, well, wait, where's the sunshine? What happened? What's wrong?
Right.
You always make my day when you do that, even though they're grumpy, right?
That's right. This morning I was sitting in my office and I'm trying to work on my blog post, and my husband brought in my coffee, and then he said, "Are you mad at me?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because you're not smiling." Well, I was thinking about something there for a second. Pardon me. I was thinking, and no, but all I said was, "Oh, I'm sorry, darling. I was just thinking about something." But that's it. If we aren't always smiling,
Right.
then they think there's something wrong. So you can't win for losing.
Well, you can't, but I think that's also how we learn to love ourselves more perfectly. Is being able to see these parts of us. That's because that's part of what I teach for self-forgiveness. It's like what for the people that can't see it, right? We have to learn to see it. And
Yeah,
so it's like, and that's this beautiful refining that happens on the forgiveness journey, is
yeah,
being able to get to the point, seeing through our stories and seeing through other people who we actually are inside ourselves. Because I do think that sometimes there's like this veil,
yeah,
like some people can't see. But when we learn to look through the veil and bring it back more towards our heart, and that's the other part, is learning to embody it. Because that's what you've done. You embody it. You embody the joy. And I think that's what we're all looking for is that state of joy because joy is always there, even through the hard times, if we allow it to be. It's not happiness, it's joy. And really
it's
discovering,
sheer. It is. It's
yeah,
sheer joy. I just a long time ago, I just told Jesus I wanted to shine his light to the world, and that's really what he did. He let me do that.
yeah. And you are doing it.
That's what I'm trying to do for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you're trying. I think you're doing it. I think there's no trying.
Well, that's true. That's true. But really, it's yeah, well, that's a long path we could talk about for sure.
Right.
There's a lot. That's a complicated story we could talk about telling.
Yeah.
But let's talk about forgiveness because
Yes.
people complain to me when I try to teach it that there are some things you can't forgive. And that's not true, of course, as you know.
Yes.
Um, Forgiveness really, you have to forgive yourself first, I think. But so tell us. Talk about forgiveness.
So for me, forgiveness gets me to choice. So for what resentment does is it holds you hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Resentment holds you hostage. Hatred holds you hostage. Anger
Mm-hmm.
can hold you hostage. None
Yep.
of it is bad per se, but it's information. So if
Mm-hmm.
I am resentful to someone else, this is an easy thing. I get to go, oops, what is going on inside me about that feeling?
Right.
So we're taught in this world to look at that person as the problem. That person
Mm-hmm.
did it. That person's, you
Yep.
know. Yet, when to get to self forgiveness, sometimes I need to see that mirror. I need to see the mirror held up, and it's not an exact mirror. So, if I'm resentful at the fact that somebody dismissed me, somebody's
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to me or not hearing me. Okay, an easy one is this: somebody's not hearing me. I'm getting really ticked off that they're not hearing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I look at this mirror, I can turn it back around and go, Brenda, where are you not hearing yourself? Brenda, where do you not hear other people? Because relationships are just mirrors for us. That's all they are. They're here to help us learn to love ourselves more. And then
Mm-hmm.
that in itself is then reverberates out to everybody else. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I need help to forgive myself. So I can do that through relationships. I can do that through where am I resentful? Where am I angry? Where am I loving? Where because I can't acknowledge something I don't have within myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So an easy place to start for those that want to just take a look at where you get angry or resentful or mad at somebody else. And it can be as easy as that. They're not hearing me to, I don't really understand what it is that I don't like. I just don't like them, right? Well,
Right.
usually that means that they have a behavior from someone in your past that has really is bringing something up that's not quite conscious yet. So that's where writing comes in. That's where just taking and just doing some just just download. It's like, okay, Joe does this. I don't know what it is that Joe does, but Joe does this, and I feel this, and I feel that, and I feel this, and I feel that. When you get into what you feel, then you can go, oh, that's exactly what I felt with my brother, or with my dad, or with the ex-husband, or
Right.
whoever. So there's these ways that we can start now, and that's the first step, right? Is to kind of bring it back in. And then it's like, and then you got to be willing to look at the mirror inside yourself. It's like, ooh, maybe I am not listening to myself. Like I had to learn. I would get so mad at my husband for not hearing me. I was so
Mm-hmm.
angry with him. And it's like, you're not hearing me. And finally, in doing this work, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not hearing myself, which was showing up in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I was ignoring my body, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that was huge, not
Yep.
hearing myself. But then the next step of that was, oh, wait, where am I not hearing him? Where am I not hearing other people? Where am I so focused on myself and my stuff because of resentment, right? Because it makes it all
Mm-hmm.
self-focused that I'm not, oh, whoa. Now you have to be willing to go, I'm not going to shame myself for this, right? For not
Mm-hmm.
hearing other people. I am going to use this for information. That's the tricky point. When we can turn shame into self-flagellation, we can turn shame into I'm the worst person ever, which feeds that shame loop. So we want to get some help around that usually, like, oh, because not a lot of people can quickly turn themselves, not take on the shame,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But just being able to take a deeper look helps us to go, oh, I'm like you just said, I'm human too. I'm just like these people. We're all one, really.
Right.
We're just
We
different
are
expressions. We're
of the
just
same.
different, yeah, of
Yep.
this same love, of this same eternal being. I
Right.
am, I am the same. And when you can start to embody that, right? When we move it from here, our head to our heart, that's when my clients go, oh, now I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand it. And that's what we do. We start outside of ourselves to move in to ourselves so that we can see ourselves more clearly. Now, some people can forgive themselves a little easier, right? I didn't mean to say that. I was having a bad day and they can apologize. I'm sorry, you know, but there's those things are a little easier, but there's harder things, right? Where you feel hurt. You feel like somebody really, really took some, you feel like this, you've been, knifed in a way, not to be so graphic, but you do feel like that. You've been stabbed in the heart. And, so that's where when clients come to me with, you know, th- this person hurt me so much, they hurt me and they hurt me on purpose. And, it's kind of like, well, how old are you
Yeah.
right now? How old are you right now? Because as an adult, we know that no one can really hurt us unless we let them.
Yes.
And I say that carefully because we all feel hurt, but
Hmm.
it's really important to go, what is this information telling me? So go there. When
Hmm.
was the last time I felt like that? And the time before that, and the time before that. And so these are
Hmm.
just some simple ways to start with self-forgiveness for those that struggle a little bit with it,
Right.
and to be able, because once we do that, as you and I know, Roberta, once we do that, then we kind of, for me anyway, I look for those gifts. I look for the healing. I look for the gifts. It's like, oh, this feeling's coming up. Oh, let's go investigate it. Right. And then I can, because the more that I do that, the more I get curious about myself and my responses, my reactions, the more that I grow more into love. Because my number one thing is I want to love myself so deeply that nothing can knock me off my foundation. That's my desire
Yes.
for these last few years. And I've been getting lots of examples and experiences around that,
Yes, for
like the
sure.
hamstring surgery, right?
Yeah.
So I've been getting lots of those examples, and I've been getting, little moments of grief as my husband declines more, right? So it's not like life is easy, but it's how I choose to look at it, like you were saying. That's the important
Absolutely.
part. Yeah.
And that's actually even more extreme than glass half empty, glass half full. It's more like there's no glass there at all. It's nothing but a miracle. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just a field full of flowers. Whatever you planted, it all came up roses. I mean, that's the kind of life we all should live because there's just much more joy to go around than there are people willing to embody it. It's just that wonderful.
Well, it is. And I remember in my training, when I was training for radical forgiveness and having the facilitator, he's going, Brenda, we all have a Hitler inside of us.
What a
Mhm.
terrible thing to say.
Well, but it's true. It's what we do with it that makes the difference. And that I got it. I got this deep. I mean, it hit me hard. It's like we can all make choice. It's a choice, right? We can all make decisions to do good things or not good things. We can all make a decision to do this or do that. He said, but really, it's about the love within ourselves that keeps all of that, that makes us conscious of these parts of us in his world, and which I relate to, in the fact that I choose love. I choose love. And so that part of me that might be mean to someone, it doesn't mean that we're all going to do what he did, but it was just this drastic way to look at human behavior. And it was like, I don't have to choose that. I don't have to choose to be mean. I can know myself enough through self-forgiveness. I can know myself enough that I can emotionally regulate, that I can get my nervous system calmer. I don't have to react to the stories that's running in my head. I can actually learn
Mhm.
to change my perception around them so that I'm not driven by these unconscious choices, decisions, and behaviors and patterns, but that I am driven by love, by the choices that I choose to make the person I choose to be.
Well, I would hope that that would be true. I would hope that I don't know. I think that there's also a Jesus in each of us, too.
Absolutely.
There's radical purity in each of us, and it's crying to come out now. We look around at the world and we see so much unnecessary, perfectly unnecessary ignorance and evil. And the purity and the joy is just right there too, and easy to grasp.
It is.
I don't know. Anyway, you know something, we're really coming close to the end
I
of our
know.
time. And we have spent so much time having fun just chatting, which we tend to do, you and I. I
Yeah.
really just enjoy your company, to tell you the
I enjoy
truth.
yours.
But what do you want people to take away? Because we know forgiveness and self-forgiveness are all so easily possible. In fact, that's the easier way, I think, the easier way, because it's so hard to hold a grudge. It causes so many problems in our lives.
It
I
does.
mean, if you forgive everyone and everything, then there are no dark places in your life. There's nothing but love and light in your life once you forgive everybody and everything. It's as if it never rains again. It's just all love and light and joy. What would you tell people about that?
what I like to suggest is be curious. Be curious because it's not life is not an absolute. It's not black or white. There's a lot of colors in between. And I would encourage people to start with if somebody irritates you, if that's where you're at, if you're holding a grudge against someone, take a look and look at the mirror and it's like a funhouse mirror, the ones where you look taller or shorter, that
Right.
one, that funhouse mirror. It's
Uh-huh.
like that. It's like take that information and just look at it as if just be willing to be curious. That's all. That's the first step. The second one is, what is it about them that irritates me? And then let's explore that. Do I have that within myself? Where am I doing that to myself? Because that's where we go first. That's what the mirror's about, is where am I doing that to myself first? And then be willing to be honest, not beat ourselves up over it. Just be willing to be honest. All this starts with curiosity. If more of us were curious about our behaviors and other people's behaviors, we could then see the light within ourselves and with them.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You inspire me.
Well, you delight me too. I think that I think that more people need to just remember. If they could only remember, life is forever. And so what you're doing now is really just getting ready for the perfect future, because you want your future to be perfect because you've got a long future. And so, we're getting ready for that future, which is going to be perfect. Knowing that you have a long future, you don't want anything about that future to be less than perfect. And it can be wonderful. And whatever
Yeah.
happened in the past doesn't matter, because that was the old past. It's all gone. You have that choice. All of us have that choice.
Yeah.
And I choose wonderful. I got to tell you, I just choose wonderful. And so, big hug, my darling, but you stay right where you are.
All
I
right.
want to talk to you about some things. And so, everyone, I just have to tell you who'll be with us next week. That was lovely. I just love Brenda. I just love being able to talk about things with her. Once again, my dearly beloved friends, we have come to the end of our time together. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today. Please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you get that, when you really get all the implications of that plain and simple fact, it changes everything in your life for the better. Now, next week, our guests will be more of our wonderful, beautiful, seek reality longtime friends, the amazing Carol and Mikey Morgan. We've told their story many times here, how Mikey in the 1600s was already an elevated sixth-level being, but he was watching the Earth over the following centuries and seeing its suffering, and he wanted to help. That's the kind of guy he is. So finally, he chose to be born again in 1987. He lived here for 20 years and he died in 2007 purely so he could answer our afterlife questions, communicating through his mother, Carol, and she swears she never would have signed up for this. But, she accepts the fact now that she did sign up for it. Now, I'm a skeptic by nature. I have tested Mikey over the past few years very aggressively, 6 ways to Sunday. He knows a lot more than I know about the afterlife, and he has never once made a mistake. When I first met Carol, soon after she lost her son, she had no clue, and she still has no clue, but Mikey is a star. We are gifted by his presence. And so, please do not skip next week because you are going to love this. It's always a big treat when they visit us. And of course, if you have a question that you'd like to have Mikey answer, he will answer it. Just send it to me at is it info@robertagrimes.com? I think it is, but just go to my website and ask a question there, and you'll get answers through the expert, the true expert, who is Mikey Morgan. He still bears his the nickname he had when he was here in his last recent Earth lifetime. And of course, our wonderful guest this week has been Brenda Reiss. She is Seek Reality's guru of forgiveness, and she's been with us for the 10th time. Brenda is dedicated to helping people overcome obstacles that hold them back from living life to its fullest, and usually that means finding out what is wrong by forgiving ourselves and forgiving all the things in ourselves that have gone wrong. She is, I think, one of the loveliest people I know. Her great little book, and here's the second word, is called Forgive Yourself. It's brief, it's easy to understand, and it's a beautiful book to read. I think everyone should read it. Brenda says that the first thing we have to understand is that people who wrong us don't care. We have to forgive them because we do care. Forgiving others is a gift that we give to ourselves. And Jesus tells us that forgiveness is a big key to raising our personal vibration, making this our last necessary earth lifetime. So this is how you do it, my dear ones. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being. Yes, you, that's who you are. Never forget that. And you, most of all in this entire universe, you in particular are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly loved.